Awesome.
Um, so I'll just jump in. I did my research. You know, you've done a lot of high level tech stuff, or tech executive positions prior to Queenly. So I'm just curious, as someone that doesn't know a whole lot about this level of tech, how has what you've learned in that realm when you were with Facebook, how has that helped you in your own company?
Oh yeah, I actually was in executive positions when I was working in corporate. I think maybe it's a misconception because
Mm.
my role was within executive recruiting. So I was the one to recruit executives for
Right.
Uber. Um, I would say for me, I've always had sort of like a strategy as to like how I would, get success or start my own business one day just because I come from not wealth or no connections, etc. So I figured that going into tech would be the best way for me to learn about startups and entrepreneurship, etc. And I thought that recruiting was more so a means to an end, and it did kind of really give me a lot of valuable skill sets and I guess expertise when it comes to building my own team now. But the executive recruiting position at Uber really gave me an opportunity to see from the lens of a tech executive, albeit like it's a much bigger organization. But I got to network with, the VP of infrastructure and the VP of engineering and the CTO of Uber, which I actually got him to be like one of our first angel investor checks in. I would say that in the tech industry, a lot of it is networking and relationship building.
What's your philosophy for relationship building in that world?
I would say that when you view networking, I always tell like everyone this, you don't view it as like a one-sided street. When you're networking, you always view it as like, okay, how can I create this relationship to be more so of a mutually beneficial thing? What can I offer to them from my own like background, my own connections and skill sets, so that they would be more than happy to help me with whatever I need. I think more often than not, a lot of people kind of I don't know, just for the lack of better words, just like use other people when it comes to networking. And like that's just not right. Like you only like want to network when you want something and you don't give anything back. So that's kind of just like my genuine approach to it.
Seems like it served you very well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Thank God, because I spent a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of reminds me, Cece and I were talking, and he was talking about all the things that you're balancing in your life right now. And you're like, when someone gives you $75 million, there's no time for rest or something like you can't F up because this is their money. How has your life changed?
From like raising a shit ton of money.
Yeah, to today.
I think it has given me like a different perspective when it comes to finances or just managing financial stuff, especially for a business. But I think like what I've learned is that there is always a shit ton of money everywhere. And like the 1%, how they operate is that they pretty much like fund each other and bail each other out. And a lot of, just like normal working honest folks like don't realize that. And I've seen just like money going into like the stupidest like business ideas and maybe just like the most toxic like founders, etc. I've learned that there's like just millions and millions and millions like all around, not only just like Silicon Valley, but just like, the real estate like industry, construction industry, hospitality industry, etc. It's just like kept under the blanket.
Hmm.
Do you think they're pouring that money into stuff they know is going to fail for tax reasons, or what do you think the reason is? Do you think they know it's going to fail?
No, I don't think that it's like no one, okay, from what I've experienced, like no one really like puts their money into something that they initially think is going to fail. I think everyone is always just like really optimistic, but they invest for the wrong reasons, whether it's like, oh, this is like my bro from like Harvard fraternity class of whatever, or like this is like my boss's like daughter or son that just got an MBA from Stanford. I mean, I remember there's just like this pizza robot company that failed and they raised like hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's like, do we really need a robot that makes pizza? Like,
Right.
not gonna make the world better. They just like get so excited about the wrong things, right?
Right. So how did you come up with the idea for Queenly? Like, what was your background, and then how did you come up with that idea, basically?
So Queenly, gosh, my brainchild. It really came from my pageant experience, where I started doing pageants because I needed to get scholarships.
Hmm.
I think again, it was more so like a means to an end. I was kind of like the anti-stereotypical pageant girl or beauty queen where I wasn't necessarily aiming for like, okay, every year I gotta compete in Miss USA so I can go to Miss Universe
Right.
and
Right.
gain crown. It was more so, okay, how can I like maximize the amount of like financial like output I can get from this opportunity so that I can get my, very expensive college degree from Berkeley. So I did that for about 8 years and I just started noticing just so many just like the industry is so old school, very low tech. A lot of the inventory is offline. And a lot of the people that are running the industry were just so against innovation
Hmm.
that it like baffled me. And coming from tech and seeing like so many of my friends and mentors just like working at startups that are changing the world or having a startup of their own, I just thought to myself, well, if there's anyone that's going to revolutionize this exact industry, I think it would be me because I have this like perfect intersection of like tech and then like my 8 years of pageants. And not only that, I've also just like I've done modeling since I was 16 and I know how like the fashion designers like work, the supply chain logistics, etc. And initially it started off as a passion project. So me and my co-founder worked on it nights and weekends, but it just like started picking up summer of 2019.
Nice. Yeah, because I mean, I've been doing pageants for like 10, 12 years now, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a wedding. You buy that wedding dress and you wear it once, right? And it's the same thing with pageants. You
Mhm.
can't really wear it, and it's a specialized dress. It's not like you're going to wear it to dinner or something. It's for a
Yeah,
pageant. So,
exactly.
yeah,
They spend a lot of money on it.
I know
Like,
it's insane, right?
like you can buy a car, a down payment for a house, like everything.
Right. And then how did you branch off from just the dresses into the other parts of Queenly?
I think like for us, like our goal has always been to, we say like, well, we want to democratize the global formal wear industry and we want to provide like access, affordability, and inclusivity. So it started off with just like peer to peer. So the everyday girl, everyday pageant girl reseller can like upload their dress and then someone can buy it. And we were just like a matchmaker for dresses pretty much. And then COVID hit and we realized that there's this huge opportunity to uh, help small business owners that were stuck in brick and mortars while there's a pandemic lockdown.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of these people, when I called them up in 2019, they were like, no, 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 we don't do online. We're strictly brick and mortar. Online cheapens our brand. And I was like, what? Like everyone buys stuff online now. Like that, how does that matter, right? And someone even hung up on me and said the internet is the devil. So those were kind of like the people I was going up against, like pitching to. Majority of them, like they're in the Midwest or the South where they're not really like, familiar with a lot of techie stuff.
Right.
Um, but because of the pandemic, it was kind of a blessing in disguise for our business, and it proved the urgent need to digitize for them. And so they started coming on board. And so now Queenly also carries brand new inventory from a lot of these like retailers and designers, etc. So it just kind of just started growing from there.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Quick question. I know your Queenly is very female focused, but as I heard you talking about these new opportunities, there are drag pageants. Is that another demographic you guys have thought of, or are you just keeping it strictly female for now?
Oh yeah, I mean for us it's anyone that identifies as a queen, and I
Okay.
guess the Slay team knows this. We've been a sponsor of Slay for a couple of years actually, and we've worked with a lot of their girls, just having them as brand ambassadors, etc. That was another pain point that CC educated me on, is that a lot of trans women, and even like drag queens, right? They have to custom make their dresses because they can't go to Nordstrom or Revolve or whatever. And they can't just buy the woman size 2, 4, 6, 8 because they have different proportions. And so they've just never really had a safe and trusted like online platform for them to transact with each other. They have to do it in person, manually, within their network, etc. if they do trade dresses. So we don't have like a huge demographic yet on Queenly, but it is starting to pick up. We have like so many trans women, cross dressers, drag queens that are starting to see like what Queenly is for. And I think the beauty of it is that they see Queenly as a safe place for them to like proudly post their pictures, ask about like, people's dresses, ask about measurements. And it has made me feel like the work that we did is like really gratifying, because this is the true inclusivity that I've always wanted to aim for.
I like how you say it, that queen leads anybody who identifies as a queen. I like that.
Yeah, like we have like, so a funny side story tangent on this is that we have one that is like super active seller. His name is Simon. And he's a cross-dresser, right? He just loves wearing dresses.
Right.
And I bought a dress from him. But here and there, we get some users that would report him or report his listing, and they would say like inappropriate or something.
Wow.
You're like, I can't believe you guys are letting this man on here. And like like we want to be true to our mission, and we're not like, just because people report him and they don't agree with seeing a man in a dress, like we're not gonna block him, like he's not doing
Right.
anything. But we do piss
Right.
off people by being really radically inclusive.
That's good.
Where does that come from? Because the that kind of world is not always known for being inclusive, but it seems like being inclusive is something that's very important to you. Why is that?
I think I mean, it's always been sort of like part of my identity, where I've always been like very open-minded, and I've always kind of advocated for just to spread love and not hate, and to just let people mind their own business. But I've grown up with a lot of friends that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And because these friends are very, very close to my heart, and it's like a much larger issue, I'm always very outspoken about it. And like I just want to put my money like where my mouth is.
Heard, heard.
I don't know if that's gonna be the same in the Philippines.
Do you anticipate some kind of pushback?
Oh yeah, most likely. I mean, I think that the Philippines is still very, no matter how they kind of love, pageants, and like there's like the pageant fans and they love like gay actors and comedians. I think a lot of it is still very anti-gay.
Mm.
Um, Especially when you think about like how Catholic the Philippines is, and how closely like the church and the state are like intertwined. A lot of people are against gay marriage, and a lot of people are against, especially like trans women. Um, so I might get some hate for that.
Mm, no
Well,
doubt.
especially there too, because it's like you, I mean, I've been with my husband 25 years, and over there we would get like people would like question like our relationship. They just didn't
Mhm.
kind of comprehend it because there, I know, especially like 20 years ago, like a lot of gay guys would wear makeup and stuff just to get by. Like that was acceptable as long as they wore makeup. But when they would meet straight acting
Yeah,
gay men, they can't comprehend it. Like it just doesn't like they just can't get their minds around it. But if a guy wore some makeup, then yeah, it's fine. They totally get it. But
exactly.
it's changed.
No,
It's starting to change.
it's
It's starting to
starting
change
to
there a little bit, but still,
a little
yeah.
bit. There's still like a huge like push against it, but I do think that the
Mhm.
Philippines largely they accept gay people as entertainment, but they don't accept them as
Mhm.
human beings.
Right.
Wow.
That's why.
Wow. Are there a lot of like gay celebrities over in the Philippines?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, usually, like, I think the most famous one is Vice Ganda,
Okay.
and like very famous. But it's like they still, it's like you can't make it as a gay person unless you make people laugh, unless you have like crazy makeup and crazy stuff, and unless you get casted as like the funny gay best friend in the movie.
Hmm.
Like, it's just very
It's
specific.
it's it's yeah, it's kind of like the 70s here where you had to be super camp and then that was totally acceptable, right?
Right.
They're still kind of behind us. But I mean there's a lot of I know there's a lot of gay actors who aren't out of the closet. I know that for a fact. I know
Yeah.
some of them.
Yeah.
So it's just like but that's how they live their lives, so,
Mm.
you know. But yeah. So is Queenly active in the Philippines or
No, I wish. But it's like we have just so many things on our plate right now that it would be just like a secondary priority at the moment. But if I'm able to find like the right partner, investor, etc., we could mostly probably do some operations there.
okay. Are you actively looking for that or no?
No, we're very busy right now.
But if it fell in your lap then you're like, okay, well maybe, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did explore some opportunities last year. Um, so I started connecting with a lot of like VCs and investors there and just kind of started like scouting the market. But I would say that e-commerce is still a bit behind for us to find the right time to launch there.
Okay. You say that e-commerce is behind in the Philippines, but is the social climate accepting of something like a Queenly where there is this wide range of people that can invest in it, including people from the LGBT community?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because I always wonder, like when you say the Philippines is so Catholic, I'm like, well, they have Drag Race Philippines, and I wonder if what's the reception of that?
Uh,
I know you don't live there, but I just something I just wondered.
Yeah, it's very niche. It's very niche. It's definitely not like widespread as like people think. And a lot of like I guess a lot of the industries and e-commerce stuff and advancements are focused in Metro Manila, and it doesn't really reach like the wider country.
I see. I got you. I guess that's something we take for granted because here, like, drag races everywhere, and I kind of forget that it's not that big of a deal in other countries. So it's good to see a different perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So your one half, your husband co-founded Caviar, and when I think of the two of you together, I think of this very power couple in tech. Is there any allure that comes with that? Glamour?
We are very San Francisco tech people. And it's like very different from probably like what you would see in like Hollywood or LA SoCal vibes. We probably spend our money differently. Um, and I don't think we're like as flashy or like what I love about my husband is that he's just super humble. And, obviously he's a very smart guy, hardworking to get to where he is today. But you know, when I started learning more about like his finances and his wealth and his investments, I was like, wow, like you make more money than this person and X, Y, and Z and whatever, but you're wearing like this washed up t-shirt, Patagonia jacket, and just Nike like sneakers. Like you don't drive a Lambo, you don't try to have a private jet, etc. And I think for him, it's like he just doesn't let that stuff like affect him or phase him in any way. And he just thinks a lot of those things are just very unnecessary. But we love to spend it on, I guess, travel, or as Cece would probably call it, it's like luxury travel.
Hmm.
So we like to have like experiences. Like he loves going to Amman resorts, so that's like his splurge. Um, and he is kind of like a first class business class kind of guy. So he always like tries to kind of travel and he knows his travel shit. It's crazy. He knows what airlines are part of like which airline group and which airports they fly to, how many times a day, what airline uses what plane, what kind of seat modifications they have. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
Like his hobby, traveling. Traveling is our thing.
What's the craziest trip you guys ever took?
Craziest. What do you mean by
I mean,
crazy?
well, I mean, it could be extravagant. It could just be kind of like just like something that normal travelers wouldn't even
Oh,
think of doing, like an experience. Like, what's the craziest thing?
uh, we have we have rented private islands before.
Wow.
This is something that I probably like don't publicize or tell people. Um, but yeah, like during the pandemic, we were like, okay, a lot of resorts are closed, but we still want to travel. Like, how can we do this by being safe? So we've gone to a private island in Belize and then a private island in Brazil. And then that time we took my best friend and her husband. So that was like probably, yeah, a crazy experience for me because I'm like, I never thought at this age I would just be like wandering around my own like private island for the week with like staff and shit. Like it was, yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
That's
Sounds
good.
amazing.
Next time you go, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just curious, it's like you can give me a range. How much does that cost to have an entire staff and an island to yourself?
Range.
As
I
much as you're comfortable with.
I mean, he did tell me that he got a discount because it was like a pandemic discount. So I guess at that time, probably 40 to 50K.
Wow, that is college tuition. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't even know how to say that. That's like, because I grew up poor. Like, that is like a college tuition, right? Like,
Congratulations. I love that for you. I do.
But it
I
was
love
worth every penny, though, right?
oh yeah, it was worth every penny. Like, we we had a lot of fun. It was just an experience, yeah.
incredible. What kinds of things when you're on vacation, what do you love to do? What's like your ultimate experience?
What I love to do is spa and massages and eating. I also love fishing. I get
Okay.
very excited about fishing. So we like do an excursion where we like rent a boat and like go fishing. But my husband, Sean, he loves to do daredevil adventurous stuff that makes me want to have a heart attack. Um, but you know, he's always like, come on, you know, we can experience this and a life experience, blah blah blah. So he's done like skydiving, paragliding, canyoneering, etc. So he took me canyoneering, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It's like a whole day excursion, and you have like, you know, these tour guides, but you pretty much go through the mountain, but not in like the easiest. It's not just like a walking path. it's you have to go through rivers and boulders and caves and like the point of it is to make it an obstacle course, right? And we're in this wetsuit and I had to just like slide down like boulders into the like rushing river, and we had to also like climb down waterfalls, which it sounds glamorous, but it was just like I was getting waterboarded because I slipped, and it's just
Oh
like very
no.
intense. So at the top, we were halfway there. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna die. Like, I can't do this. Like, I have to go home to my like my dog Butters. And I was like, what's so I need to go back. You guys can go. I need to go back. And then the tour guide's just like, the only way out of here is to get like an emergency helicopter. And I'm like, I know how much that costs, but I'm like, do I really need to right now? And I just told him, I just feel like I'm gonna die. And the tour guide was like, yeah, you're gonna die sometime, but not today. Okay, I'll keep going. But I was just out of breath and I was so scared of my life. But obviously we made it. And the fun fact about it is that apparently Twilight, one of the Twilight movies, was filmed there in that waterfall. So that was that moment.
Is there any experience you have refused to do that he's asked you to do?
Skydiving.
That's where you draw the line.
That's the only one. Just because like if something happens, there's just no way I can save myself. Like canyoneering, maybe like I can like, grab on some vines or this tree or whatever. But skydiving, like if something happens, I'm just like splattered. I told him I can go when I am probably like 65.
Why 65?
Because if I die, like I'm like I've lived a good life. Like I'm ready.
That's crazy. Now I like want to come back in time and be like, did you do it? Did you do it? That's cute. Um, just listening to you describe you and your husband and your likes. How did you meet him? How did you two meet?
We met in Hawaii, and it was a startup workaway retreat that me and my co-founder applied to. So it's just like this 1 week long immersion in Hawaii, and that's when we were first starting our business. And so we needed to, just like learn a lot because they were offering like mentorship and workshops and blah blah blah. And for me, it's like, okay, like I got to network and find like investors if we're gonna start raising soon. Um, yeah, and he was one of the mentors. um, yeah, he was one of the mentors, but he wasn't my direct mentor because he didn't pick me. I always hold out against him.
Oh,
He said he chose whatever was closest to his industry. Um, but what happened was, so there's just like, let's say a big group of maybe like 20 something people. And every single night, there's like a smaller group of like 8 people maybe that would stay up and go to karaoke or just drink and like chat the whole night, and just hang out. And I was part of that because he was part of it. And for some reason, we had this weird connection to each other. But I guess the scandalous thing is that I had a boyfriend at that time. And he was engaged. Yeah,
scandalous.
that's like the biggest thing. Um, and I didn't like, I thought this was a business work trip. Like I didn't expect to like meet anyone cute. Like I didn't, yeah. And it just happened. Like there's just like this weird like connection that we had that we just couldn't stop like talking to each other. But yeah, and then after that trip, about a month later, he tells me that he just like broke off his engagement and he's moving to San Francisco. And
Wow.
yeah, and he moved to like the building across the street from me.
Okay, that seems kind of stalkerish. Did he know where you lived at the time?
Yeah, because he's like visiting me and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Or I told him where I live. Yeah. I know it does sound stalkerish now, but he was just so determined. Like I have never seen a guy like chase me that hard.
Oh.
And especially I just didn't think it would happen because he was engaged.
Do you
Like,
think it was love at first sight for you, or for him, or
yeah.
for both of you?
Yeah, but it was just like a very confusing time because I'm like,
Right.
why do I like this guy? He's like, he's engaged. He's gonna get married. Yeah.
Like before the retreat ended, had you two made plans to see each other?
No, we were actually like, you know what? He confessed that he likes me, and he's like, yeah, I don't know why, but like, I really like you, blah blah blah. And he just was very gentlemanly about it. And we were like, you know what? Okay, I like you too, but I'm not gonna be that homewrecker. I'm not gonna pull an Ariana Grande. And what happens in Hawaii stays in Hawaii. That's what we just said. Like we were just like, we're just gonna forget about each other and you go get married. But then at the airport, I texted him. Like I didn't last long.
What did you text him?
I was looking for these Hawaiian cookies and I told him that I found them. But we were just supposed to like delete each other's like number, just like not like talk at all or anything like that.
Did he reply to you?
Yeah, of course he did. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what happened with you and your boyfriend?
Well, that one, actually, like that year, I was already like kind of really like falling off the relationship. Just because he was just trash. Now that I'm looking back at it. Yeah, and I was already so focused on Queenly that Queenly like became my new like relationship, my new baby, and um, I think it was just like there, like more so of like we were companions, roommates, whatever.
So do you think this was the push that you needed
Oh yeah.
by
I
meeting Sean?
yeah.
And did he move out? Did you guys break up before Sean moved to San Francisco?
No, it was about like a month after.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fast.
Yeah,
So
it
you
was
would you would sneak across the street? Is that what you did?
Mhm.
yeah, what sure.
So I
Hey,
guess when you know, you know.
right.
Yeah, no, exactly. I've always really someone told me that before when I was younger. I'm like, how are you supposed to know if you don't know? Like you don't know what you don't know. And I've always asked this question throughout like all of my like serious long-term relationships. And that was the thing. It's like if I had to ask if I